for joining us for this week's NQ Live News Roundup. I'm your presenter, G. Randall, and our team of reporters have sourced the best Manchester news stories from the week. Here are the week's headlines. The first report of the Manchester Arena inquiry has been released. Manchester Airport is taking the government to court over the list of countries Brits are allowed to fly to on the updated Green List, and new evidence has come to light following the 1996 Arndale bombing. But first, the inquiry into the Manchester Arena bombing, which left 22 people dead, has published its first report. Here to discuss this is Lewis Oxley. So Lewis, what does the report say?
Thanks, G. So the inquiry has stated that serious security failings ultimately led to missed opportunities to save lives. The chair of the inquiry, Sir John Saunders, his point found that there was missing opportunities to identify Salman Abedi as a terror threat on the day of the attack on the 22nd of May 2017. Sir John also took aim at British Transport Police and the owners of the venue, SMG, as well as the security company at the venue, Shosec, saying that they were primarily responsible for the missed opportunities to stop Abedi from entering the venue.
And what are the key bits of evidence that our listeners should be looking out for?
No, actually, one of the most damning pieces of evidence came from a member of the public, a man called Christopher Wilde, who began, he said, to raise suspicion about Abedi's presence in the foyer of the arena at the end of the Ariana Grande concert. He approached a security guard who was said, really in no uncertain terms, to be fobbed off. Sir John also later said the security arrangements for the Manchester Arena should have prevented or minimised the devastating impact of the attack, but they failed to do so. Of course, the attack in May, as we said, claimed the lives of 22 people, including the youngest victim, 8-year-old Safi Rousas. Sir John also added that although he doesn't blame anyone specifically, some individuals, he said, have fallen below a proper standard of care. This includes the fact that 4 British Transport Police officers who were on duty at the arena were not present in the foyer at the time shortly before the bomb went off in Abedi's rucksack. Among the 9 recommendations in the report, Sir John said that there should be a protect duty for better security at venues and that this should be written into law. This has come about thanks to the mother of the victim, Martin Hett, who was called for the law, Martin's Law, to be passed into law.
Well, further laws can only be good surrounding this. So what's next for the report?
This is the first of 3 reports to be published in the next coming months. The further reports will look at the emergency responses and the experiences of the families and those who died on that horrible night in May 2017, and an analysis of whether the atrocities committed by Abedi could have been prevented.
Lewis, thank you for going through the inquiry's report with me.
Many thanks.
So, students were protesting in support of the Palestinian movement yesterday. Paolo Granelli has the story.
University, college and high school students gathered yesterday to protest the Israeli occupation of Palestine. Starting at 4 p.m. at the corner of Old Burley Street outside Asda in Hume, protesters rehearsed chants as passing cars honked and cheered in solidarity. The crowd, though small, numbering less than 100 people, was still extremely vocal, chanting, "No more hiding, no more fear, genocide is crystal clear." The protest then made its way across the Parkway and through Whitworth Park before occupying the street on Oxford Road, slowing traffic as they marched before stopping outside the Whitworth building of Manchester University. The chair of the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions campaign spoke to the crowd about the university's exchange programme with the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in occupied East Jerusalem, where Israeli officers study in full uniform while carrying firearms. The organisers, Manchester Stands, who wished to remain anonymous, said that even though the protest was small, they were still happy because they knew that the people who came still cared about Palestine. Police presence was virtually non-existent at the march, with only one service vehicle caught in the slow traffic on Oxford Road.
Thanks for covering the protest yesterday, Paolo. Anyone over 18 in Manchester who hadn't had the first vaccine was invited to get either Pfizer or AstraZeneca today at North Manchester General Hospital. The announcement was put out on the hospital's Twitter yesterday and quickly made it over to Instagram. We went to the hospital earlier and got some advice for those having their first vaccine from researcher Brogan. We also spoke to Danny, who just received his second dose today.
I'd say just get it over and done with, and just make sure afterwards you kind of move your arm around a little bit, because it does get really sore after.
Other than a bit of a sore arm afterwards, it was absolutely fine, and couldn't wait to get vaccinated the second time round. So it's been virtually 8 weeks today. So when they reduced it I'm over 40, when they reduced it from 12 to 8 weeks, I found out there was a walk-in centre here, came straight down and got it done.
This week marks the 25th anniversary of the bombing of the Arndale Shopping Centre, when the provisional IRA caused millions of pounds of damage to one of Manchester's iconic buildings in 1996. However, a review of the evidence collected after the bombing has provided new leads for investigation, according to Greater Manchester Police. A statement made by Detective Chief Superintendent Dominic Scally said that reviewing the evidence provided some new, albeit limited, investigative opportunities. Detective Chief Scally said that there should be sufficient evidence. Should there be sufficient evidence, they will be referred to the Crown Prosecution Service to decide how the case should be progressed. No one was ever charged with organising and detonating the bomb, which ripped out part of the Arndale structure near Corporation Street. The bombing came in the midst of the Troubles, which saw groups such as the IRA target cities across Britain. The blast caused no fatalities, but over 200 people were injured. Manchester Airport and Ryanair have today submitted legal proceedings against the government for the handling of international travel bans during the pandemic. Our reporter Harry Hansen has more.
It's been a hot and sunny couple of weeks across the UK, but many people are still desperate to get on a flight to somewhere warmer. With the introduction of the government's traffic light system back in May, and the first 3-week review which took Portugal off the green list at the beginning of June, the number of holiday destinations that people can visit without the need to quarantine when they return home has fallen to just 11. Now Manchester Airports Group, who own Manchester Airport as well as other major airports like London Stansted, have teamed up with Ryanair to take legal action against the government. Supported by other UK airlines, they will legally challenge the government for not being clear enough with their reasonings for not putting lower COVID risk countries on the green list. The CEO of Manchester Airports Group, Charlie Cornish, has issued a statement in which he is arguing the government are not being honest about their decisions when it comes to the traffic light system, and that this is having a major impact on the UK travel industry. The CEO of Ryanair has called the system a shambles. The court papers will go in today, exactly 1 week before the second review of the travel list is expected to take place.
6 people have been arrested when GMP officers raided 7 houses in Greater Manchester today in the early hours of the morning. Police believe the arrested suspects are part of a drugs conspiracy worth millions of pounds. The officers also found a suspected cannabis farm in Radcliffe. The raids were part of the investigation Operation Glory that looks into the supply of Class A and B drugs. And now for the weather. We may have been basking in the warm summer heat this week, but things are set to change as we head into the weekend. Friday and Saturday will be sunny with cloudy intervals before we enter a week-long period of rain, with temperatures cooling off. We can see highs of 21 degrees and some lows of 10. For all the football fans, Denmark are playing Belgium at 5 p.m. today, and the Netherlands are taking on Austria at 8. So make sure to get your Euros plans set for the evening. Thanks for joining us today. Check out our Twitter @The Northern Quota for news updates through the week. Stay safe, and we'll be back next Thursday at 4.